It's the second MCM Comic Con of the year, and guess what? We're going. Normally when I do one of these videos, I'll just do it as a standard vlog with footage and music and montage, like intercut, and do an edit pretty much. But instead, I'm just going to talk about it and obviously intercut things here and there. And I don't know, hopefully this format works, but we'll see how it goes because I'm not changing it now. MCM Comic Con. I don't know if you can even call it that anymore. I mean, we call these things comic conventions, but they're not about comics. They're about pop culture in general. So I have no idea as to why we haven't renamed them pop culture cons or pop cons, because that's what they are. There's anime, gaming, movies, TV shows, celebrity appearances, and pretty much low down the list, cosplay even as well. And low down the list is comics and comic books and comic book artists and everything relating to comics. Like the Comics Village, it's like one of the smaller parts of the con, and I'm just kind of like, why? Because all this stuff, or a lot of this stuff, comes from that. So why is it the smallest thing there? And I know obviously it's to do with money and advertising and all that kind of stuff, but it's just odd to see. It's like, I don't know, imagine a convention for books and the authors are like the lowest people on the totem pole, and people went to see other stuff but not the actual authors who wrote the books. That would be like, what? Whereas these comic artists and writers and stuff, like the Comics Village is just like tiny in comparison to everything else. Perhaps I really should go to something like Thought Bubble or that one in the lakes, the one in Kendall, because they seem to be more just comic focused, and I'd like to see what they're all about. Because well, a dream of mine is to do a con in my own city. It will never happen, but it's a dream to do a con in my own city with writers and artists. And have panels, have it all in one building, have panels, and have a a show floor whereby obviously there's things for sale and whatnot, but at really good prices to kind of entice people to buy more, and actually make a good profit for the sellers. And that's kind of like my dream, kind of, yeah, just literally have it be straight up comics and comic books, and just selling really good things at both a good price for the customer and for the seller as well. But yeah, not have it be super crazy big or anything like that in its first year, because that would be impossible for me to do, but have it be kind of much smaller and concise and just a friendly environment. Obviously everyone's welcome and whatnot, but that's just a dream of mine. This MCM Comic Con, not to sound like a hipster, but it felt more corporate than ever before. Like it felt, or it's either that or I'm just realizing how corporate it actually really is. And it's just like Marvel had a massive section there, and there was really good stuff there, like really good stuff. They had costumes from Thor Ragnarok. They also had costumes from Black Panther. Now I don't know as to whether these were actual costumes used in a movie, because usually when they do that kind of stuff, they tend to be like boxed up, like in a glass cabinet. Whereas these were just like on display, and there was a bit of tape around them to stop people from touching them. So I'm guessing they were kind of like mock-ups that are pretty much film accurate. And they had they had photo booths as well where you could take your photo with like Guardians of the Galaxy and like, I don't know, some other ones and stuff like that. And they had all these Iron Man heads, and the weird thing is they had all this stuff, statues of like the Avengers, like Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America. They had like a Lego, a Groot and Rocket. They've got all this stuff, but there were no comics. There was a tiny section of the Marvel area, which was a pretty big area for comics. And it's just, it, it baffles me. We're at a Comic Con, Marvel are there, they've got a big area. And one of the tiniest areas within their area is comics will trade paperbacks. It was 3 for the price of 2, but there wasn't, from what I saw there wasn't the greatest variety of stuff. But I don't know, for people doing so well in movies with these characters, you'd expect them to have a bigger comic book presence, but no, they'd rather just focus on the movies with people, which is just so, it's just so weird. I just don't, I get it, it's corporate, that's the thing, it's business, but it's also like, it's called a Comic Con. Where are the comics? And I think I've kind of become slightly disillusioned with cons. I mean, Kapow Comic Con, which I went to in 2012, that was actually really good for comics in general, although I mostly went to panels. I went to a few comic book panels about like how to break into the industry, blah, blah, just because it's interesting. And then I like, you know, saw a movie or a panel with like Nick Frost or something like that. I remember that. And a few other movie panels as well. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I would do if I was to do it. This MCM doesn't feel like that. It feels kind of like, I don't know, they're recently been purchased as well by a company called ReedPop. So I'm guessing there's going to be more celebrities and stuff like that at the next one for next year, in May in London, perhaps. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, overall, I thought the con was all right. It was pretty good. Like just hanging about with friends was cool. You know, seeing everything was cool. There's loads of Funko Pops everywhere. It's just like, why are there so many Funko Pops? It is crazy the amount of Funko Pops there are and how crazy people go for them. It's like the action figure version of crack cocaine. That's how people just get really weird about Funko Pops. I really wanted to spend some money as well, but like I don't do impulse buys. I can tell when I'm just doing an impulse buy, but and I just don't do them. Like I'm just like, I don't actually really want that. I just want it because I'm here and I want to get something and not have like kind of like a wasted journey in a way. But I did end up picking something up, something that I wasn't expecting. So I did stop by a stall and I grabbed a copy of Tokyo Ghost by Rick Remender and Sean Gordon Murphy. And yeah, that was only £7. So I was just kind of like, you can't go wrong with that. Like the store, they're really cool as well. They're called A Place in Space and they operate out of Surrey, Croydon. And yeah, they seem decent. I'm going to check them out on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook and see what their eBay shop is saying because they seem to have really good prices for things. So I was pretty pleased with them as well. I wish it was kind of more that kind of experience, that more kind of like loads of stalls. I mean, there are stalls there and that, but they're kind of overshadowed by the big corporate stuff. Again, I know I sound like a hipster, but it's true. And you know, I feel kind of bad for the smaller creators that are there, like the independent folks who, you know, they purchase a table, and I think there needs to be a way of encouraging more footfall and more people to stop at those stalls for your independent sellers and the independent artists and whatever else, and get people to kind of like part with their cash. I wish there was more of a focus on those kind of guys because I don't know, what they're doing is, it's from the heart. It's art from the heart. Does that sound cheesy? It probably does. But I wish it was kind of more about those guys. I don't know, it's just something different. And the vibe was different in general. of this con as well. And another weird thing I noticed is that because it's a pop culture convention, you'll have different areas for different things. So you have like the gaming area, the weeb anime area. You'll kind of like have the comics village. Then you have all like the different kind of like comic stalls and that. And then you'll have like the kind of area for independent artists and stuff. People like who make and sell jewelry and stuff like that. Then there'll probably be a cosplayer bit where there's cosplayers signing photos of themselves and all that. And then you'll have people stick to those areas, and then most people will walk through those areas as well. So there's not encouragement for someone who's into anime to check out the gaming, and vice versa, and all the other areas as well. So people who tend to stay in those areas don't get to see the rest of the con. And that's like, it should be about, I guess, because it's corporate, it has no focus. There's no focus there. It's not zeroed in on its one thing. So if it was a gaming convention, for example, it would be all about gaming. Whereas it's not, it's loads of little bits. So it has no focus. And you can tell, like with all the corporate stuff, it's just all advertising, essentially. Like advertising. And maybe they'll try and sell you something. But yeah, it was a weird one. Here's some footage, I guess, of the con. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and as always, I will catch you on the next one. And make sure you hit that bell too for notifications. If you like this video, you can check out my other vlogs from conventions right here. There's a few on the screen. Click on whichever tickles your fancy.